Hello students, I welcome you all for today's session. We are going to deal a new concept in Java, that is wrapper classes, in today's session. So before discussing what are the wrapper classes, why will we use wrapper classes or not, let me pose a few questions. Okay. So the first question is Java pure or fully object-oriented programming language? Can anyone answer this question? Is Java pure OOP language? We usually say that Java is an object-oriented programming language, isn't it? Now I'm asking is whether Java is complete object-oriented programming language or not. The answer is no. Java is not complete pure object-oriented programming language. Why Java is not pure object-oriented programming language? Because of only one reason. Why Java is not pure OOP? Because only one reason, that is, it supports the primitive data types. Java supports the primitive data types. What are all the primitive data types we are having in Java? If you see the primitive data types supported by the Java, we are having int, float, double, char, short, long, byte. All these are the primitive data types supported by Java, isn't it? Due to these primitive data types only, we are calling Java as not complete object-oriented programming language. What does that mean? If you take any programming language, if you take any particular programming language, what makes that language a pure object-oriented programming language? What are the characteristics of a object-oriented programming language? Let's see what makes a language a pure object-oriented programming. If that particular language supports encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, as well as all predefined types should be represented as objects, and all user-defined types should be represented as objects, and all operations performed on the object should be only through the methods. If any particular language supports all these features, then we can call that particular language as a pure object-oriented programming language. If the language does not support at least one of these characteristics, then we cannot call that language as the pure OOP language. If you see here, the Java lacks in one particular feature. What is that feature? See the fifth one. The fifth point is all predefined types as objects. If you observe the primitive types, int, float, double, char, boolean, byte, whatever they are, all those are not objects. They are not objects. They are primitive types. Those are predefined data types. They cannot be represented as the objects. They are not treated as the objects. So only Java is not pure object-oriented programming language. As it is supporting the primitive data types, everything in a pure OOP should be represented in the form of objects only, but not in the form of the primitive types or any other. Whatever we give to the program, that should be in the form of an object only, but not in the form of the other types. As Java supports the primitive types, we cannot represent the primitive types as an object. So only Java is not a pure object-oriented programming language. So you may get a doubt. So what are the languages which are pure object-oriented programming? I have given one note here. There is a language called Smalltalk. This language is a pure object-oriented programming language. From this language only, the Java has been derived. Okay, students. So, but still in Java we have a provision. In Java, there is a provision from 1.5 version onwards that the primitive types can be represented in the form of objects, and the objects can also be represented in the form of primitive types. This provision is provided from Java 1.5 version onwards. We can convert the primitive type data into objects and object type data into its corresponding primitive type. That provision is given by Java 1.5 version onwards. So that provision, which concept helps us to do this conversion? If anyone asks who are the responsible person to convert the primitive type data into object type data and object type data into primitive type data, then there comes the concept called wrapper classes. The wrapper classes has been introduced into Java in Java 1.5 version onwards. Before that, we don't have this concept. So what exactly these wrapper classes are? How many wrapper classes are there? What is the functionality of those wrapper classes? All those things we'll be discussing within couple of minutes. So let me introduce a definition of wrapper class first. Wrapper class, the name itself is telling it is a class. Wrapper class is a class whose object, wrapper class is a class whose object can wrap the primitive data types. It can hold the primitive data types. It can contain the primitive data types, and also it contains a field. That particular object of wrapper class, the object of the wrapper class contains a field which can store the primitive data types. Object, it is a, each class will be having an object. Create an object for the class, no? So that object, the classes, the objects of wrapper classes can store the primitive data values, can store the primitive type data values. Similarly, it can also convert, it can also, the normal primitive types can also hold the object data. That is called a wrapper classes. Let's see what is the need of these wrapper classes. Why did they introduce the wrapper classes? We will discuss now. The need of the wrapper classes are, if you see the first one, students from the past, from the last 3 to 4 session onwards, we are discussing some collection framework data structures, isn't it? Like array list, sets, hash maps, hash tables, all these things we have discussed. All these are collection framework, belongs to collection framework. The data structures, these data structures can accept only object type data but not primitive type data. It won't accept the primitive type data, but it will accept only the object type data. For that purpose, this is one of the purpose why they have introduced the wrapper classes into Java. And the second one is we can easily convert the primitive type to object type and object type to primitive type. And the third one is whenever an object is needed to support the synchronization, especially in multi-threading, there also these wrapper classes can be used. So these are the basic need of the wrapper classes in Java. Okay, students. Now we will discuss what are the different wrapper classes are present in Java. There are 8 wrapper classes present in Java. Those are defined in a package called java.lang package. There are 8 wrapper classes present in Java. All those are defined in java.lang package. I have listed that in a table here. For each primitive type, there is a corresponding wrapper class. For each primitive type, there is a corresponding wrapper class is present. If you see, look at the table. Let's take a primitive type int. Its corresponding wrapper class is integer. Similarly, if you take a float, the corresponding wrapper class is float. Similarly, char, the corresponding wrapper class is character. For each and every primitive type, there is a corresponding wrapper classes are available. So there are 8 primitive data types available in Java. So for each primitive type, there is a corresponding wrapper class. So there are 8 wrapper classes present in Java. So students, this is the wrapper class hierarchy given. If you observe this hierarchy, there are many classes, subclasses and superclasses present. Students, I want to pose one more question to you. That is, which is a superclass for all Java classes? Which is the superclass for all Java classes? Can anyone guess? Can anyone answer it? Yes, object is the superclass for all Java classes. This is one of the most interview question you can expect. Object is the superclass for all Java classes. From object, I have derived 3 subclasses in this diagram. One is number, another one is boolean, and the one is character. Boolean and character are the wrapper classes. The other classes which are derived from number, that is byte, short, integer, long, float, double, all these are also wrapper classes. All number classes are derived from number superclass. Number is a superclass. From that, all these wrapper classes has been derived. Okay, students. Fine. Now we will discuss one more concept called autoboxing and unboxing. A very important concept for interview purpose. First, we will be converting the primitive type data into object type data and object type data into primitive type data. Those conversions we are calling it as boxing. Those conversions we are calling it as boxing, autoboxing and unboxing. Let's see what is autoboxing exactly. The conversion of primitive type to its corresponding object type is known as autoboxing. The conversion of primitive type data into object type, its corresponding object type data is known as autoboxing. As it is done by the compiler itself, it is implicit conversion. It can be implicit conversion or it can be explicitly also the user can do. If we didn't do, the compiler will do for us. That is automatic conversion. So only we are calling this auto boxing. Automatically converting the primitive type to its corresponding object type is known as auto boxing. Let's see few examples here. Let's take one primitive data and let us see how we are going to convert that into an object type. Okay. We are taking one integer type data, int a is equals to 10. Here a is holding a value which is of primitive type. A is of type primitive type. It's a primitive type variable. Now I want to convert this into an object. So where this variable will get stored in the memory? Usually in the stack. So a is stored its value in the stack because it's a local variable. It's a local variable. All the local variables will be stored in the stack. So let's consider one more statement, that is integer. Here integer is a wrapper class. Integer is a wrapper class and a1 is a reference variable, that is an object of that particular class. a1 is an object or reference variable of that particular class. Is equals to, I am assigning a primitive type data to an object. I am assigning the primitive type. A is a primitive type variable. I am assigning that to the object type, that is a reference variable of integer class. Here I am not doing any conversions. I am not converting A into an object and then I am not storing it into A1. This conversion, as A is a primitive type, the compiler will automatically convert this into an object and stores it into A1. A is holding a primitive type value. That value is assigned to the object directly. That is called auto boxing. I am doing some boxing here. I am wrapping the primitive type data into an object. Now a1 is a reference variable. As a1 is a reference variable, it will be stored, the reference will be stored in the stack and its value will be stored in the heap. The 10, a is holding 10 value, that will be stored in the heap because it is an object value. The a1 can store the primitive type value now. a1 is storing the primitive type value now. It can wrap the primitive type value. Here actually we are not doing any conversions. We are just assigned the value. The compiler will automatically convert this from primitive type to corresponding wrapper type, corresponding object type. So how it will get converted? This is a statement replaced with for this statement by the compiler. Integer a1 is equals to integer dot value of a. Value of is a method which returns an object. It returns an object. Value of is a method which returns the object of that particular primitive type value. Okay. So I have given few more examples also here. You can see. And now let's go to unboxing. Autoboxing is converting primitive type to object type. The reverse process is known as unboxing. Automatic conversion of object of wrapper classes to its corresponding primitive type. To its corresponding primitive type is known as unboxing. The reverse process of autoboxing is called unboxing. Autoboxing means converting primitive type to object type. Unboxing means converting object into its corresponding primitive type. Let's see some examples for this. I have taken an object A here. A is an object which is holding data 10. A is an object which holds the data 10. So usually it will be stored in the heap. A value will be stored in the heap. Its reference variable will be stored in the stack. Now int a1 is equals to a. I am assigning the object value to a primitive value. I am assigning the object value to a primitive data type. That is a1 is a primitive data type. A is an object. So this object is assigned to the primitive type. Internally the conversion will be done. An object value will be converted to a primitive value and that will be stored in the stack actually. That a1 value will be stored in the stack. So internally the statement is replaced with this statement by the compiler. We are not doing explicitly any conversions. The compiler will do implicitly the conversions. So int a1 is equals to a dot int value. It retrieves the primitive value from that object and returns that primitive value. This function will return the primitive value of that particular object and we are storing it in a integer variable. So again I have given here converting the primitive type to corresponding object type is known as autoboxing. The reverse process, converting the object type to its corresponding primitive type, is known as unboxing. So we have discussed what is wrapper classes, what are wrapper classes, what is the need of wrapper classes, what is autoboxing, and what is unboxing. So now let us see a few programs practically. We will execute few programs practically. We will see how the conversions, how these conversions will be going on. Now let's see an example for autoboxing. We will see both the implicit conversions as well as explicit conversions. Let us take one variable, one primitive type data, that is A. I am storing some value into A. And one more thing I am taking is one wrapper class object, that is integer class A1. I am directly passing A value to A1. Here the primitive type data is converting into an object and that value is stored into A1. This is called autoboxing. Implicit conversion by compiler. Which conversion from primitive to object? A is holding a primitive value, that value is automatically converted into an object and that object value will be stored into A1. Now let's see the explicitly. A user, a programmer can also convert this explicitly. We'll see how. Let us take one more primitive data type. Let's take float. Float f is equals to some 23.67. Its corresponding wrapper class is float. I'm taking an object called f1. Now I want to store f value into f1. So for that I need to explicitly convert f into an object first, then that object value will be stored into f1. So how to convert is, in float class, float is a wrapper class. In that class we are having a method called value of. A method called value of. This method, value of, is a method which returns the corresponding class object and that object holds the primitive value. So this is boxing. It's not auto, it's just boxing because explicitly the programmer is doing this. Explicit conversion done by programmer, that is user. So this is implicit conversion called autoboxing. This is explicit conversion of primitive type to its corresponding object type, that is boxing. For explicit conversion we will be using value of method. This method returns the corresponding object which holds the primitive value. So now let's check, let's print the outputs as well as let's check whether A1 and F1 are objects or not. So I'll be checking if A1 instance of will be using to check whether the given thing is an object or not. Is an object. A1 is an object. I'm printing. Similarly, you can also check for F1 also. And now I'm going to print the program. Let's run this program. This is, if you want to see the output, I'll show the console. So for this system.out.println, we have got A1 is an object. I'm checking whether A1 is an object or not by using instance of. And similarly, I'm trying to print A value as well as A1 value also. A is holding 23 as well as A1 is also holding 23. This is auto boxing. Let's go for unboxing example also. Let's see unboxing example now. So in unboxing, let us take an object of class integer. I'm just passing 10. And now I'm taking one more primitive value. I'm directly passing A1 to it. Here A1 is an object and A is a primitive type. Object value will be converted automatically into a primitive value, and that primitive value will be stored into A. So this is called as auto unboxing. That is implicit conversion by compiler. Now let's see unboxing, which is explicitly done by the programmer. Let us take one more wrapper class object. Let's say boolean. We'll take boolean. Boolean boolean is equals to new boolean. I'm just passing some true or false. I just passed true. And I'm taking a primitive corresponding primitive type is boolean, and I'm trying to store b1 into it. If you observe here b1 is an object that the value, the primitive value, this object value will be converted into primitive value and will be stored into this. But explicitly I have to do that. So for that, what I'm going to do is I use a method called the boolean value. So there is a method called boolean value. This method returns the primitive value associated with the corresponding object. B1 will be having a value. That value will be returned by this method. This method returns the primitive value associated with that object. So now let's see the output. It's not output println. I'm trying to print D value 1 also. Let's see both values. So that's all. If you observe, students, this is auto unboxing, automatic conversion of by the compiler to from object type to primitive type, corresponding primitive type, and these two lines is for unboxing, that is conversion of object type to primitive type explicitly by the user. For that, I'm using a method called boolean value. So I'll save it and I'll just run this program. Let's see what is the output. If you observe here, the output is B value is true and B1 value is also true. So this is unboxing. Now let us go for one more example, that is where these wrapper classes are exactly used. We discussed this in theoretical class, that is the wrapper classes has been introduced specifically for collection framework data structures. Collection framework data structures like linked list, tag, queues, sets, maps, all these data structures can store the data of object type only but not primitive type. So for that reason only the wrapper classes has been introduced. So we'll see that example also. Let's take one collection framework data structure, say linked list. Linked list, I'm creating an object for that class. And I'm trying to add some elements to it. Add is a method which can be used to add elements into the list. 23.78. Similarly, I can add different kinds of data also if I want. So I have added have added different kinds of data to the list. One is integer data, another one is real number, another one is string. We can either add different kinds of data, or if I want to restrict my list with only specific kind of data, let's say integer, I want to store only integer kind of data into the linked list, then I have to go for generics. I have to put this data structure as a generic, and let's say I want to store only integer data, so I can go for generic class. So here I place int. Int means this list accepts only integer data. This list has to accept only integer data. If you see here, there is an error saying like insert dimensions to complete reference type. What does that mean? Meaning this data structure accepts the data of only object type but not primitive type. Int is a primitive type. It won't accept int data. It accepts only the object data. So if I replace this with corresponding wrapper class, now the error will be rectified. See, I have replaced this with integer. Integer is a wrapper class. Now I am going to pass the object type data into this. If you observe here, again there are few problems, because see, I have specified my list. My list has to contain only integer data, but I'm trying to pass some floating data as well as some string, so only it was throwing an error. So if I remove this, the error will go. Okay. If you observe here, see students, I am let's take something like this. Int b is equals to 24. Let's pass b here. Let's pass b here. If you observe, b is a primitive data type variable. It stores primitive value. Here I am passing primitive value only, but this linked list will accept only object type data of class integer. But still I am not giving integer class object. I am not passing an object here. B is not an object. B is a primitive type. Here implicitly the compiler is converting the primitive to its corresponding wrapper object. B is a primitive data type. It is the compiler will convert this B automatically into an object value, and that object value will be passed to the linked list. I am not doing any conversions here. I am not converting B into an object and then I am not passing that object to the linked list. The compiler itself will do that task. That is called auto boxing. Okay. And one more thing I need to say is primitive values does not accept null values. If you observe here, the primitive types does not accept null as a value. You see here error is throwing, but wrapper class objects will accept. Here there is no error actually. If you see these two statements, students, these two statements, A is a primitive type. It won't accept a null as a value, whereas the wrapper class objects can accept null as a value. This is a difference between one of the difference between these two. So that's all, students. We have covered one example of auto boxing, one example of unboxing, and one example where we can use these wrapper classes. Thank you, students. Have a nice day.